good morning to you on the second day of the Future Print Virtual Summit. And this morning, I'm ever so pleased to have a very good friend of mine, Steve Lister, with me, who has huge experience of our industry and more particularly has some really fantastic insight into some of those retail trends that are going to really impact on the print industry at the moment. So, morning to you, Steve.
Morning, Fraser.
I hope you're well in the current circumstances. So I'm just going to kick off by just letting you take the slides and
Excellent.
Just to start on that. And Steve will introduce himself in terms of who he's working for, because Konica Minolta at the moment are going through a slight change on the name of the brand. So, so he'll explain more about that. But he is Global Retail Performance Director. So he has a really good understanding of this space and this marketplace.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you, Fraser. Thank you for the opportunity to present. Excellent. Well, firstly, I'd like to just say thank you very much again for letting me present this. I've been living and breathing, print. I've known Fraser for many, many years, and I have a particular passion when it comes to print and retail. And I hope you're all safe and well, because we're in completely unprecedented times at the moment. And one thing I'm going to touch on today is the title today really is going to be the impact of COVID-19 and the opportunities really for print that we see. So just to introduce myself, my name is Steve Lister. I'm the Global Retail Performance Director. Now, you might know us as Konica Minolta Marketing Services. We are just in the middle of rebranding our name globally to Indicia Worldwide. And I'm going to explain the reasons why we're doing this. And this isn't for me to be in any sales pitch. I think it's going to add some context, really, around where we fit into the marketplace and how we can influence brands and retailers. So who are we? What do we do? Well, what we do is we create new value for our clients. We collaborate with them. We bring them ideas and give them a competitive advantage. And also, we look at things like what they haven't done in the past, the previous, what we class as the non-existent, and then we look at how we can help them incremental sales, etc. And I think this is encapsulated by what we call our new infinity loop. And this is where we sit as a company. We sit in the middle between brands on the left-hand side, the tier one agencies, the Publicis, the Saatchi and Saatchis, and we sit, and then on the other side, we sit in between the consumer and some of the other agencies. And so just to really frame it, the two areas that we talk to when we talk to clients is on the left-hand side, effectiveness. So we'll look at data, insights, strategy, ideas, and how we can communicate that into sort of like retail and retail applications. And then on the right-hand side, it's about efficiencies, technologies, production, print management, POS, production, multi-channel delivery, etc. So, again, it's a fairly unique position that we sit in between the brand and the consumers. And I'm going to sort of take you through the journey of where we've now found ourselves and the brands that we're currently working with. Because we work with about 500 brands. We have an annual revenue of about 400 million. Our longest client is 23 years, of which we're extremely proud of. We've got over 600 colleagues around the world, and we've been in business for 45 years. And we're stretched now across 37 countries, across 4 continents. So we have a really good global view of what's happening in the marketplace. And for us, this is where we're sitting. So these are our clients. And you can see, major global blue chips, a lot of FMCG with Unilever, Chiquita, Arla, Friesland Campina, and Heineken, Coca-Cola. But also automotive and a spread across the FA and other pharmaceuticals as well. So we have a very broad experience and customer base. And I've been working here for 5.5 years, and I love my job very much, and I love the clients that we work with. But we find ourselves in a world that has really changed, and we have to ask ourselves, has it changed forever? Now, I'm not a doom monger. I do believe we will return to some form of normal, hopefully very, very soon. But what would that normal be? Because we can see that consumer habits have temporarily changed due to global lockdown. grocery sales obviously has surged with consumers around the world with what's called their pandemic pantries. Local independents, convenience stores have seen huge rises in people shopping locally. The demand will continue, and it's increased across the board, but primarily in fresh food categories, breads, pastas, those sorts of things. But what we also have seen is huge rises in other sectors. Grocery is up considerably, as you'd expect. We're all locked down, so why not drink some beer, wine and spirits? It'd be rude not to sort of like look after ourselves. But things like electrical equipment, people are buying new things to communicate with other people. Obviously, fitness is up. People couldn't get out at the beginning. But the health and beauty sector is also up. People are actually looking to look after themselves while they're in these uncertain times. Obviously, online sales have dramatically increased. Apps are up by nearly 24 billion in Q1 alone. Online gaming, on demand. Who hasn't watched Netflix or been on ITV Hub and downloading and streaming things on YouTube? But online conferencing and platforms like we're on today, delivering webinars, Zoom, House Party, going through the roof. If we'd known all of this, we would have invested in Zoom and House Party before this and absolutely made a fortune on their share price increases. However, sorry, just to go back, unfortunately, there are some sectors that have seen huge falls. Clothing sales are down. People aren't going out shopping. We don't need it. We're still in the same jumper we wore 5 weeks ago. Footwear sales down, obviously. Automotive sales collapsing. But when you think of the impact when it goes to things like print, you think of where we are in our marketplaces, bars, restaurants, cafes. Think of all the menus, the posters, the displays that we would normally be printing for campaigns. Airports closed, airlines grounded, cruise ships all in port, shopping malls empty. This is one I'm going to touch on in a moment. And sporting events completely stopped. So think of all of the print work that we used to do around the world for these clients and these events, gone to nothing. So it is very uncertain times, but we are seeing that things are starting to come back to some form of normality. However, in times of recession and in crisis, unfortunately, the first thing that gets cut is normally the marketing budget. Now, Marketing Week said the other day that almost 9 out of 10 marketers are now delaying campaigns in response to COVID-19, which is a shame because there is also data that is proven that companies that invest now and keep printing and keep their brand out there actually will recover quicker post-crisis or post-recession. So one thing I would say to anybody is if you are thinking of cutting your marketing budget at the moment, don't do it. All the data shows that if you continue doing it, you hold your nerve, you will return quicker and you will be in the consumer's eye moving forward. Now for us, will these changes be forever? Or will we return to what we know as a normal world? Of course we will. However, we do need to look at what could come next. Will there be society changes? Will there be reversing globalization? Will there be more frequent business disruption in the future? We're not too sure. Will we get a second spike? But will there be a more kinder world and a more community-engaged society? I think there will be. I think we've realised that actually we do need people around us and we do need to have a kinder society. Now, for shoppers, will we revert to more savvy shopping behaviours? Are we going to go out and buy that really nice artisan sourdough bread, or are we going to default to a nice Hovis brown loaf? Well, what we're seeing at the moment is people are defaulting to habits where they're saving money a little bit. We know that eating at home is now the eating out. Deliveries at home. People are now changing the way that they're eating. Will they return to it? I'll touch on it a little bit later. But we will start to seek out new creative and social experiences because as human beings, we do want social interaction. That's how we're hardwired. We still want that interaction. Now, for retail and print, we might see consolidated marketplaces. Unfortunately, we might see people going out of business. But we are sort of also seeing prioritizing of operational efficiencies. And things like retail stores will have to be more agile and flexible about the way they have their stores. And there is no doubt that the elevated online presence will not just cut across grocery, it will really cut across all areas. So maybe what used to happen in maybe if you're a brand or a retailer around the world was planning something in 3 years or 2 years' time, years are now becoming months, and months are now becoming weeks. And we're seeing a huge acceleration of people moving into areas where they wouldn't normally move into, which I think is a good thing. But one thing we are seeing, and I'll challenge you all to look into your email inboxes, my email is dramatically down at the moment with having inappropriate email marketing. Now they've realized it, brands have realized that they can't just email you new promotions and new things to do, because most of the world is more worried about their health and their finances. Now, unfortunately, what we are going to also see is some businesses will actually become temporarily irrelevant. You know, who is even thinking about going on a cruise at the moment? Who is even thinking about jumping on a plane with 300 people and no social distancing? So some things will become temporarily irrelevant. So if you look at Air Asia has just started their flights again. But is this going to be an enjoyable holiday experience? You know, you're going to have your temperature checked as soon as you come on. You've got to wear protective equipment. All of the staff are going to be wearing full suits. If you're too hot when you come on, you're going to get kicked off the plane. So again, it's how that thing, there will be a gentle return to what we see. But some businesses are being really innovative to capture consumer attention. For instance, Wagamama. You know, we're all missing a nice katsu curry at the moment. But what did Wagamama do? They started a delivery service, and also they got their top chef to give YouTube demonstrations about how to make the best katsu curry. Now, is that giving away your biggest secret, or is it guaranteeing the future of you saying, I missed Wagamama's, I want to go back to it? And things like online health and beauty and things like quiz nights. People are now signing up to monthly events. Now, would you go back to a gym after this, touching all the equipment, or have you preferred the habit of doing it at home? So these are the sorts of habitual things that will change. Some will come back. And when we say some will come back, it's because business now is starting to reopen, but we have no idea what the new normal will be. Now, we have teams out in Asia Pacific and a big team out in Shanghai. And at the moment, I've just literally come off a call to the team. 80% of bars, restaurants and cafes are open. 90% of commercial facilities have also reopened. However, consumer footfall is only about 30 to 50%. And when they've taken interviews with people, people have said, I go straight home after work now. I don't eat out anymore. I'm in money saving mode. I don't know if I'm going to have my job next month. So we will see a return to openings, but I don't think we'll see a return to footfall moving forward. So if you have opened a restaurant and you're getting all of your bar menus and restaurant print done and all of the things that you would have to do a reopening, what if you don't have any customers to serve? And we're seeing lots of examples now of people saying, well, actually, I don't want to go to an overcrowded shopping mall anymore. Maybe I just want to buy a few items online and I'll wait for a few months, you know, for it to maybe calm down. Now, one area we're seeing which is under huge pressure is the department store and shopping mall format dead? Well, Intu, the biggest UK owners of shopping malls, who own things like Trafford Centre, Merry Hill, Cribbs Causeway, Metro Centre, and Lakeside, they're in trouble. They've been in trouble for a few months. They're looking out now for you know, there's no one in these shopping centres and shopping malls. Just in the UK, I know we'll probably have some global customers here as well, listing in. Debenhams, House of Fraser, UK department stores, all gone into administration. In America, Neiman Marcus, JCPenney, all gone into Chapter 11. So all of a sudden, the mainstays, the big people inside these shopping malls to drive footfall are all gone. You know, Laura Ashley, and we're also seeing this morning, other sort of like restaurant chains, you know, like Café Rouge, are all now entering administration, which is very, very sad news. Obviously, also for the people who are going to be losing their jobs. Now, who is going to feel comfortable going into a crowded restaurant, bar, or cafe? So these are the sorts of things that we're having to ask ourselves. You know, technology-wise, are you going to go into an Apple store and pick up all of those products and touch them? Their whole ethos in Apple is about you touching and, touching the screen and looking at the products. They're going to have to come up with some very inventive ways to be able to get customers back into their stores. So I just wanted to touch on now really the future retail and print trends that we're seeing either during COVID and post-COVID, where we sit ourselves at the moment. Now, what used to be a need and a requirement for health, face masks are now becoming a fashion accessory. And we're seeing this, and I've been posting things on LinkedIn over the last few weeks and months about how we're seeing this develop. We're now seeing there's a company in America called Mask Club. This is the printer. This is all this company is. But what they've done is they've started to print bespoke masks for people. And there's a huge variety of bestsellers there. So you can basically have anything you want. You have your latest brand, you can have something funny on there. But what we also have seen is this one company that does bespoke printing, you can even print your own face on them. So you take a picture, you send it to them, they print your masks, and then they send them back to you. So even in these times of uncertain times, printers are being innovative. They're finding new opportunities to use their technologies. And, I've got to say, this one particularly made me smile because I think it's really a neat way of still seeing your face. But there are now a huge demand when it comes to social distancing messages. These are just a few examples of what we would class as, fairly standard social distancing messages. Now, all of a sudden, the public has been retrained very quickly into what we can and can't do, where we can stand, how far we have to stand apart. So social distancing messages all have to be printed on floor graphics, have to be adhered. And one thing we are hearing from, we have a global supply supply base of about 2,500 print partners around the world as our company deals with our clients. And they're all saying to us, all of a sudden, they went from being busy to having no work. If you're an exhibition company, you've got no work there. If you're then moving into retail, they were all shut. But now they're starting to reopen. We're hearing some great things about demand is significantly up because now people are starting to see the print opportunities around things like social distancing messages. So why wouldn't you put a brand or a tagline onto floor graphics? You're a captive audience standing right on top of this, and we've seen from previous research is visibility goes up about 220% when someone is standing right on top of a message, and sales increase by about 11 to 12% during a campaign, and after campaign around about 7%. So what we're seeing here is then people starting to take the opportunity. McDonald's has now just reopened in the Netherlands, and they now have car park social messaging on the car parks, on the floors, telling customers where to stand, where it's appropriate, before they go in and pick up their McDonald's. Now, you might look at it, and some people have made comments of this as saying, yeah, but, how is this going to work if it's raining? How is it going to work if I'm in Dubai and it's 120 degrees? You're seeing changes, and changes will be made, as we go forward, and we will learn from this. But this was a very interesting one because now we're seeing that brands are finding a way to incorporate a social distancing message to a campaign message and a brand message. They're still being sensitive, maintaining a distance, but now being creative. This one says, please maintain 6 tube lengths of Pringles at all times. I love it. I think it's a great way to keep the brand relevant, keep a safety message, and again, keep printing because that, we want to, print is such a powerful methodology. And for us, this is a neat one we saw the other day from Heinz Beans. Keep your safe distance, keeps the brand's message in mind. And again, you're standing right on top of it. And again, it's a great way to enforce the message. But what I wanted to do here is finish off with some examples, really, of the opportunities that we're now seeing with some of our big print partners. And they've been really creative about how they look at the messaging in retail, office, warehouses, hospitals, and things like care homes. And this is a document that Delta put out into the marketplace. And we think it's a great way to then show you some examples of print and how people are starting to use it. So I'll start at the top left-hand corner. Things like trolley guards and trolley covers, just pieces of paper that you can just slip over. You know that you're the only person that's touched them. Working across things like fresh produce areas, floor graphics, dump bins, traffic flow and management, where, retailers are now guiding you around the store to make sure, that we do it in a flow and in a manner. But again, when you start looking at things like the shopping baskets, the entrances, the checkout POS, all of this has to be printed. We've got some amazing materials, out there that can help retailers put these down very, very quickly. But again, it has a very particular message. It's a very, a safety messaging, social distancing messaging. But again, it's opportunities that these printers are taking to make sure that they connect it with print. With SMP, we were doing some work with these guys, and I know the team there very, very well, and they produced this social distancing for retail catalogue, which is called Back to Life, and I loved it. I think it's a great example of how printers are being innovative and are being on the front foot with talking to different clients about when you arrive in stores, or this could be, we say a store, but this could be any location, during it and leaving it. So A-boards, bollard covers, window displays, aisle fins, posters. These, even down to things like hand sanitizers, need to be, branded, and security panels. Now, for us, I look at something like this and think, well designed, well thought through, and it's really, really pushing forward the areas of things like queuing, entrances to offices, canteens, car parks, office spaces. Every single one of these areas needs some form of messaging, and it's a great idea to push print as a great medium for us to be able to take that social distancing message and the important messages out to the marketplace. So just some other creative ones for you. Window messages. If you are going to put anything out there, be creative. Welcome back. Hello, stranger. These are clients that we're seeing, just putting some messages, we've blooming missed you. Why wouldn't you have that on a florist's? Because they want your business, and we need to be creative about enticing those customers back. If you are a restaurant, let people know you're open for business, but you also might be open for takeaway and delivery. They might not know that. So use all of those footprints, the windows, the floors, the different areas, to take messages back into the marketplace. Now, as sporting events reopen, this is something we saw in Germany the other day. Obviously, the crowds couldn't go back, so they opened up the people who had seats and said, we'll actually print your faces down who had season tickets, and then what we'll do is we'll put them in your seats, and you can actually pretend you were there, and we'll still film it, and we'll still doing a live event. And again, is it a bit of a quirky thing? Yes, it is. Does it look great? Yeah. Is it Instagrammable? Yes, it is. But again, driving some print opportunities, nice and creative. And again, it's making light of a very, very bad situation that we all find ourselves in. So that really sort of sums it up from me, my view, our view of what we've seen, the challenges that you're all going to be facing, but also the opportunities that you will see for print moving forward, because we see there are some incredible opportunities. So be creative, think about it. But the last message I want to leave you on is, if you are thinking about creating new messages or designs for your customers, I'll leave you with these three. Just be sensitive, be helpful, and be relevant. Because in these uncertain times, consumers just want those three things at the moment. So thank you very much. Really appreciated the time.
Really good. Thank you very much, Steve. That was fantastic. Lots of detail, lots of information. Covered off a whole gamut of the retail space. I think everyone will be sitting there nodding, recognising some of the trends you've pointed to. Couple of little questions I'd just like to ask of you in terms of what you've said, and I think I tend to agree with this, is that the companies that have chosen to continue to try and innovate through this will be the ones who are nearer to the market when the market kicks off again. Yes. They'll be the ones who have been there, kind of thinking. If you were saying to, a print business out there who's kind of gone on to furlough and said, well, we're closed up till September, what would you be saying to them now? What would you be saying in terms of, the thinking? The time, use the time as you sit there as a business not operating. How would you use the time?
Yeah, I'm hugely sympathetic of the print of the whole industry. I mean, they've taken big risks in the past. They've invested in new equipment. They've got staff, and their overheads are huge. And I have a huge sympathy for them. I'd always have taken my hat off to the print community purely because they do lean forward and they do invest, and that's one thing which they have to now look at and say they are still in a unique opportunity. You still have a customer base. It might have gone quiet. Hopefully, if you have furloughed people, unfortunately, if you have, I would say get back in touch with all of your customers, and that's your opportunity to talk through what they need. What do all of your clients need to either reopen or get their message back out to their clients? Hello, I'm open again. All those sorts of things which are important to put those messages across to. Ask them those questions. How are you reopening? What do you need? We are here for you. I'm sure they're doing that. I mean, businesses are good, but that's what I would say is over-communicate at the moment. I think I would over-communicate.
I wonder also whether there's an opportunity in this time to think about the people you've got. There's an argument, isn't there, that says, well, it's definitely going to be difficult for a few months, if not longer than that. So in terms of investment, as you just said, where should they make those investments? Do they make it in technology? Do they continue to expand? Do they think about recruiting new people? Do they, what's the sort of, what would you be saying to people in terms of their, the next 6 months? Should they look at new staff? Should they be, trying to innovate new ideas from the people you've got? What's your sense there?
Well, that's a really, really good question. I mean, look, is a company at the moment going to invest in a new £1 million printer at the moment?
Unlikely, isn't it?
Unlikely. Yeah. But what I will say is, from what I can see from the print industry, we've got some great innovative companies that make some fantastic products.
Yeah.
What I probably would say, I would invest at the moment in creativity.
Yeah.
I would just try to set yourself apart and have really good creative teams. I showed you some examples there from SMP and from Delta and a few other people. They are being creative. They're on the front foot. They're leaning forward. They're opening up those conversations, and they're taking ideas back to their clients. If you think of it, all their clients must be also as scared as they are about, am I going to go out of business? Is my investment, am I going to lose my business? Am I going to lose and make people unemployed, of which they don't want to do? So I would say invest in creativity. I would say be on the front foot and take ideas like we've shown you today to all of the clients and all of their clients, and to just drum up business, because they might not know what they want until you show them some different ideas, and it might spark an idea off and spark the next order, which then all of a sudden leads to another order and a case study that they can then use for another client. And I don't for one instance think this is easy, because it's not easy and it's going to be challenging. But you know what? The print industry is resilient. They've been through recessions before. We've got some great creative people out there. But my tip would be creative, over-communicate, and present some great ideas to your clients.
Yeah, I think that's a really good summing up. Just want to kind of think a little bit about some of the other issues that were prevalent before the COVID crisis. Now, of course, we know that sustainability was very high in people's mind. And I wonder what your view is in terms of sustainability as a cause at the moment. What's your thinking going through this COVID situation?
Well, that's another really good question. I've been asked it a lot because, as you know, my background is predominantly in sustainability in retail and sustainability in print. I would say in the last recession, it got pushed to the back and people moved into a different direction. However, this is different because we've had a sea change when we've seen the blue planet and the use of single-use plastics and plastics in the ocean. There definitely was a sea change, and that's not meant to be a pun. We definitely have seen a sea change. So I hope it doesn't go backward again, but I just want to give you an example of maybe why it hasn't gone back. Now, we attended a webinar last week with Alan Jope, who's the global CEO of Unilever, and they are just reissuing their new objectives for their sustainable living plan. Now, they've led the way. I know other companies had, but Unilever is our biggest client, and we've supported them on sustainability for many, many years, for the 5.5 years I've been here. The CEO from Unilever last week was saying, it is absolutely fundamental to our business. A lot of the growth is coming out of sustainable brands and sustainable beauty brands and food brands. They are absolutely committed and wanted to make the point. So Alan Jope, the CEO, invited us all in and gave us a presentation. It was only a closed one to us suppliers who were close to them, but it was really inspiring. I hope he actually gives it externally, because I think it would actually demonstrate to the rest of the world and all of those brands and retailers that actually still keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because sustainability is actually an imperative for business. It's not just about, saving a plastic bag in the ocean, which is really, really important. Actually, there are some good fundamental business reasons why you should be sustainable.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And funny enough, I had a conversation yesterday with Francois Martin, and he was talking about exactly the same. Their clients are PepsiCo, Nestle, and these big corporates have said this is something that we continue to believe in.
You're right.
So I think you're right.
It's different this time. This isn't just a recession that we had 10 years ago. People have committed significant amounts of money into sustainability. Right. It's not going to. It will go back a little bit, unfortunately, in the short term. But we are seeing. Even yesterday we had a global call with L'Oreal, one of our brands in Asia Pacific. It is number one on the list for them. So it won't go away, and we will be supporting our brands through it on sustainability.
Brilliant. And on that note, I think we should wrap it up, because that pretty much is 30 minutes. And I've been ever so pleased to have you as my keynote for the day. I think you've set the tone for the day brilliantly and really just given us some things to think about. I think a lot of us recognise these already, but I just think you've reiterated some of those kind of trends that are clear. So thank you, Steve. Really appreciate it.